Thanks very much for staying with us. Time now for Eye on Africa with me, Georgia Calvin-Smith. Tonight, Kenya gives the UN's refugee agency a fortnight to draw up a wind-down strategy for two of the world's biggest refugee camps. The UNHCR says that this will jeopardize the protection of refugees at a particularly delicate time. Also, a new avocado farm in southern Kenya sparks a backlash for obstructing historic elephant migration routes. The dispute over the land in the shadow of Mount Kilimanjaro reflects the deepening struggle for survival between agriculture and wildlife. And we meet the Black Mambas, a pioneering all-female Moroccan-American football team that's taking on traditional views by giving it their all on the pitch. But first, Kenya has given the UN 2 weeks to come up with a plan to shut two of the world's largest refugee camps. Nairobi's drawn a line under discussions about the future of the sprawling sites. Around 200,000, mostly Somali refugees, are in Dadaab, near the border between the two countries. Another 190,000, mostly South Sudanese nationals, are at Kakuma. Both sites have been around for decades. Tense relations between Somalia and Kenya may have hastened Nairobi's decision this week. Mikawe Shachwayu joins us with more.
The UN's refugee agency, the UNHCR, says that this decision by the Kenyan government to close the Dadaab and Kakuma refugee camps will negatively impact the protection of refugees living in Kenya. The decision by the Kenyan government to close these camps also comes at a time when relations between Somalia and Kenya have worsened after the two countries cut diplomatic ties in December. Local media reported that the Kenyan government said that should the UNHCR not come up with a plan within 2 weeks, they will simply evacuate refugees from the Dadaab and Kakuma refugee camp and place them on the Somalian border. The Dadaab refugee camp was established 3 decades ago. People from Somalia were fleeing violence and a drought there. At this time, also, Somalia and Kenya are in a maritime dispute over 100,000 square kilometers of the ocean seafloor that is thought to be rich in oil and gas, and both countries claim to be theirs. Now, this case is currently at the International Court of Justice. Hearings began last week. However, Kenya boycotted the hearings, saying that there was a perceived bias and an unwillingness by the court to delay the hearings due to a pandemic, and also not allowing them, their legal team that's been newly appointed, enough time to prepare their case. Kenya now wants this maritime dispute to be settled through bilateral negotiations.
Well, Egypt's salvage operation to unstick a huge container ship wedged in the Suez Canal continued on Wednesday. The 400-metre Ever Giver ran off course in a sandstorm and lodged diagonally across one of the world's busiest trade routes on Tuesday. The grounded ship stopped any other moving traffic getting through, and the blockage sent world oil prices surging. It could cost the ship's Japanese owner and its insurers millions in dollars in claims. Take a look.
A 220,000-ton, 400-metre-long container ship stuck in the Suez Canal. Huge traffic jams piled up on the key trade route in Egypt after the vessel Ever Given ran aground early Tuesday morning. With the canal seeing around 10% of the world's trade run through its waters, any delay could have a major impact on supplies.
Every day the canal is closed, number one, it means that Egypt isn't getting toll money for this. It's about $700,000 for every vessel to go through. But more importantly, container ships, tankers are not delivering food, fuel, manufactured goods to Europe, and goods are not being exported from Europe to the Far East.
The ship's operator said its vessel got stuck in the southern end of the canal after it was blown off course by a gust of wind. The so-called megaship was on its way from China to Rotterdam in the Netherlands. The Suez Canal authorities said on Wednesday that the container ship has been partially refloated and that traffic is set to resume. After being blocked for more than 24 hours, it will take a while to completely ease the canal's backlog, adding more pressure to an industry already under strain amid the ongoing pandemic.
Now, Paul Rusesabagina will be tried in absentia in Rwanda after refusing to attend his trial, saying that he does not expect justice. The government critic denies terror charges that he says are politically motivated. He helped save hundreds during Rwanda's 1994 genocide and inspire the Hollywood hit film Hotel Rwanda. Now, Rusesabagina, who usually lives in exile in the US, says that he was kidnapped last August to get him to Rwanda to face trial. A Rwandan court ruled that he was tricked but not abducted. He has admitted to forming the FLN, a rebel group turned political party, but denies sponsoring any terrorist acts. And Ethiopia's Human Rights Commission says that Eritrean soldiers massacred over 100 civilians in Tigray. This corroborates earlier investigations by international rights groups. The report comes a day after the Ethiopian Prime Minister admitted the presence of Eritrean troops in the northern region for the first time after months of denials. Abiy Ahmed sent federal forces into Tigray in November to battle local TPLF fighters. The ongoing conflict has sparked international concerns about the deepening humanitarian crisis. And an avocado farm in southern Kenya has sparked a backlash from critics who say it obstructs historic elephant migration routes. The dispute over the land in the shadow of Mount Kilimanjaro reflects a deepening struggle for survival between agricultural communities and wildlife.
Tolstoy the elephant roams the southern Kenyan wilderness against the backdrop of Africa's highest peak, Mount Kilimanjaro. For almost 49 years, he has survived ivory poachers and drought, but his undoing may be an unlikely source: rich country's appetite for avocados. A tough war has erupted over a planned avocado farm spread over 180 acres near Amboseli National Park.
There are two farms there, and both of them are exactly in the middle of a wildlife dispersal area. Some of this we have recorded, some of this area has been used by elephant as maternity. So when you do a large farm there, then it means we are going to lose that space. The elephant has to find another space.
Agribusiness company Kili Avo Fresh was cleared to plant avocados last year on land it bought from local Maasai. The owners say the development falls outside the important migration corridors. Jeremiah Salash, a shareholder and farm manager, highlights the economic benefits for the country.
Land is another source of capital. It's going to provide employment to the local and even beyond the locals. As many people in Nairobi or in city centers, they depend on agriculture.
Global demand for avocados has boosted exports from Kenya. Profits rose by 33% to $127 million in the last crop year. Samuel Kaanki heads an association of almost 350 Maasai landowners who live around Kiliavo. He warns that other large-scale developers will jump in if Kiliavo goes ahead.
If we lose this land, if Kiliavo will be allowed to continue, we will lose others. We have so many other people who are waiting. So it is dangerous. If we lose this, we will lose so many.
Following pressure, Kenya's environmental agency ordered the farm to stop working last September while it reviewed the file. Kiliavo has challenged that decision in the environmental tribunal.
Well, American football is becoming increasingly popular in Morocco thanks to social media. Men and women have been lured by the rowdy sport. The Black Mambas is a pioneering all-female team taking on traditional views by giving it their all on the pitch. Take a look.
Ready? Apprêtez-vous. Why are you guys watching them?
It's Sunday, which means an intensive training session for the Black Mambas, the first all-female American football team in Morocco. Sabrine brought the team together in 2015. She's a motivated and multilingual coach.
It's too complicated to speak just in French. We try to do it in English, French and Arabic, because there are people who don't understand English. So we try to translate and do all three at the same time.
In Morocco, American football is a little-known sport with no official recognition. To develop the Black Mamba team, Sabrine used the internet to train in sports coaching and invested personal funds to realise her grand ambitions.
We would love to play international matches. That would be great for us to get more experience. Or even to play in training camps in Europe. I know that American football is well developed in France.
To attract new recruits, Sabrine has had to convince many doubtful parents and beat back prejudices surrounding a sport seen as violent and male-oriented, especially seeing as the Black Mambas share the field with the male American football team.
As a woman wearing a veil, it's difficult to play American football with boys. When my parents saw that we wore decent clothes and that the boys and girls played separately and respectfully, there was no problem for me to play. My mom even started to come and see the matches.
Hamza, a physiotherapist, has offered them his services on a voluntary basis. So much does he believe in the team's success despite their lack of resources.
If a grant shows up, it would be welcome because it would allow them to train in better conditions. That's all an athlete or a sportsman needs. They invest their minds and bodies, and then it's up to us to give them the means, the equipment, and the help to accompany that.
Others have followed in the Black Mamba's wake. There are now 5 all-female American football teams across the country.
Box on three. 1, 2, 3. Yes! Let's go. Have a water break. Let's go.
Well, good on you guys. That is, though, all we have time for Eye on Africa for now. But do stay with us. More news and his stories from around the world coming up after a short break. Take care.
Drawn to Europe much more than their country's pastures, many Senegalese youth reject farm work. In an attempt to keep them home, a local has come up with a reality show called Farm Factory. It's meant to modernize the image of farming. Cameras follow candidates throughout their training in agriculture until a winner is designated.
Ma vie dans 5 ans, pourquoi pas grande productrice? Pourquoi pas exporter vers l'Europe? C'est ça que j'envisage.
The grand prize is a farm and professional support.
Reporters, presented by Mark Owen on France 24 and France24.com.